So today we're going to be making a game. You've never heard anything about me making a game, but today we're actually going to be making a game. I'm going to add a bit of a limitation to myself. Every subscriber is 10 lines of code, and I'm limited to my subscriber count times 10. So therefore I have to be careful with what I do, and I have to optimize, because right now I can only fit 1,000 lines of code in here. Alright, let's get started with simple input controls. I have some ideas on what I want to do, but I also don't have some ideas on what I want to do. So let's start with something simple. Now, I might wonder why I'm not adding white space. That's just so I can make it easier to count the lines. This is 10 lines of code so far, as it says in the bottom right. If I were to add a white space, it would say 11. So far, this chunk of code is worth 1 subscriber. And we now have a blank screen. Alright, now, that's kind of boring, so we need to add a bit more. How about a player character? Let's just make a simple white square. Alright, we now have a white square, and this will be our player. Currently, we have no way to control it, so let's add one now. Alright, we're at 29 lines of code, which is about 3 subscribers, and we can now move our character around by pressing the arrow keys. Isn't that great? But you know what I think we could use? Some gravity. Alright, so now let's add key.dy equals 0, and we have hit 30 lines. Meaning, if we only had 3 subscribers, this would be the end. Fortunately, we don't have 3 subscribers. We have 100. So we can keep going. Alright, we've hit 34 lines, and let's check if this works. It works. Kind of. I mean, it's a bit slow. We could literally just spam up arrow. Let's increase that value. It's minus 3.07. And it works, even if I spam upwards. But now we need to change a few things. Let's change the jump a bit. Moving upwards is now a jump instead. That's too short. Let's try that again. Alright, trying it again, but we're 4 times more powerful in a jump. I like it. But our physics runs a bit slow, so let's double the speed, shall we? Our game now runs at 120 FPS, and since the game loop also runs at 120 ticks per second, this goes twice as fast as it previously did. Now here's an idea. Let's make this an endless game. We're going to remove right and left, and then we're going to change down so it sends us straight down when we push it. And then we'll have things constantly move to the left from the right side of the screen that we have to avoid or collect. That could be an interesting game mechanic. Progress update. We're at 39 lines, and our game can now spawn spikes that do absolutely nothing. You might notice now that every 2 seconds it spawns a spike. It's actually meant to spawn 3, but they're all in the exact same place. So, it appears and functions like 1. It's just 3 times laggier. So let's get to work on fixing that. Let's simply change this to random.random -300 to 300. And let's try that again. Yes, it works. We now have 3 spikes spawning randomly every 2 seconds. You can change how often they spawn and how fast they go later on, but for now, this is a game. But we have a problem. There's no scoring system, and if we go through a spike, they don't actually kill us, as I'm about to demonstrate. As you see, I just went through 2. Makes that 3 maybe. 4. You get the point. So we need to add some sort of game over system. A simple drawing system, I just need to test if it works. Yes, we now have thing. We now have thing but centered. Alright, so let's test to see if this thing works. I have added a death message and a way to die. Yeah, it works. Made some slight physics changes just to add a bit of an improvement to the game. Also, you can dash downwards whenever you feel like it. Alright, next let's add some stages of the game to make it a bit harder. Alright, we're at 75 lines of code, which is 7.5 subscribers worth of code, and now we have a customizable game stage system. Of course, it doesn't automatically update yet, but we will soon. And now spikes should start to periodically spawn more often. Let's test that out, shall we? Ooh, you can see that spikes are spawning every second now, which is a good sign. But you might notice the game is starting to slow down. We have an optimization issue. So let's change that. Whenever a spike is off screen, let's despawn it, remove it from the list. As you may be able to see, the spikes are spawning more often than usual. This is because the game state has changed, and now we're further into the game. So spikes are spawning much more often. See, now it's spawning even faster because we're even farther into the game. You can tell because now the screen is a lot more clogged up with spikes. So let's change a bit more, shall we? Let's make the game stage has a bit more of an effect. Let's set it so each spike spawn is actually the game stage's number. So as you can see here at the start, it only spawns one spike. But once the game stage increases, it'll start spawning 2 at once, then 3, then 4, until eventually you just die. That is how this game works, it's endless. You gotta see how far you can get. Whoa, and it's already sped up. We're at game stage 2 because it's spawning 2 at once. Things are working perfectly. And with how the game works, the game stage increases every 10 seconds. I have a feeling that should be doubled in time to give you a bit more time to prepare, but you know what? Actually, no. If you can't handle it, you have a skill issue. Ooh, it's spawning 3 at once now, getting a bit clogged up. Ooh, it's increased to 4 game stage. Look at how many spikes there are. Jeez, it's crazy. Yeah, look at this. This is a mess of spikes. But one thing that's kind of annoying is that they're all facing the same direction and they won't turn. It looks static as hell and it's kind of annoying. So let's change that, shall we? Let's add a bit of animation to these spikes. Now these spikes will randomly turn. So now you can see those spikes are kind of turning however they feel like it, which, that works, that works. You see, now it's starting to look a little bit more fluid with how the spikes are turning. You kind of see them move around. Overall, it just feels a bit more lively. Alright, let's move on, and let's add little variations. Yep, it works. That is a variated spike. As you can see, they're starting to show up a lot more often, now that the game stage is 2. We need to add a bit more variation, and maybe decrease the chances of them showing up, who knows. All I know is that game stage 10 and up, all spikes will be variated. Ooh, jeez, look at how many there are! Like a third of all spikes are variations. Which I guess makes sense, because the variation chance should be 0.3 right now, which is roughly a third. But, jeez, a third is a lot. Let's add a few different variation types. So now let's try this out and hope we get a yellow one fairly quickly. As I've said for the 3rd time, there's a yellow one, and as you can see, it moves up, and yeah, it just moves up. I'm planning to make some of them move down too, but for now, up is what it does. Since we're in game state 3, there's going to be a lot of them. Maybe I could actually split it into blue, which goes up, yellow, which goes down, and then a green that could do either and twice as fast like the red ones. Alright, and now we should have the chance of getting a cyan blue variated spike, which moves upwards. The yellow ones have been changed so they move downwards. There it is! Oh, both of them, right next to each other. Ooh, it's getting chaotic in here. Look at all the variated spikes. All the confusion with the yellows and blues makes it harder, which is exactly what I'm going for. Actually, no, I'm gonna keep them how they are. If you don't like them, you just have a skill issue. And everyone knows it. Because that's how this kind of thing works. Holy shit. For now, I think that's 103 lines, meaning just over 10 subscribers worth of code. But we're not done yet. We need more variations and more things to do with the game stages. Let's add another one, and we'll make it green. And now let's make some slight changes to physics, shall we? If the player goes off screen too far up or down, they will be bounced back into the screen. So now with the changes, if we hit the roof, we just fall back down. So now with the new changes, if we hit the roof, we just fall back down, and if we hit the ground, we die. There's a red one, not what we're looking for, but it's closer than a white one. Another red one. More red ones. Why is it obsessed with spawning red spikes? There's a lot of red spikes there, finally, something different. Yeah, green ones. They move however the fuck they want to. Isn't that perfect? Next, let's add a scoring system. Now let's actually define scores. Score equals 0 because you suck. Alright, let's test this out and see how it's supposed to work. And that does appear to be working just fine. It's just a bit high and a bit big. Now every time a normal spike passes by us, it gives us 1 point, but variation spikes give us 2. So this allows us for more creativity, and it's not just play until it gets impossible, it's also a bit of luck in avoiding the variation spikes, as they give you more points than ever before. Now I notice sometimes the green spikes, or other vertical moving spikes, go off screen before they have a chance to get to us. So let's change that with a system that reverses their movement whenever they bounce off a wall. Alright, let's quickly check our line counter, and we are at 140. This means 14 subscribers, and I have already screwed something up. Whoa, look at that score going up. But we need to move that counter a bit further down and change it so it's a bit smaller, don't we? Holy, look at the scores going far, far up because of all the variated spikes. It's working all perfectly. Ah, dang it, I have a skill issue. 252, that's your score to beat. This will be the finished version for now, and I will update it later to use more lines of code to fit with more subscribers. And for now, that's it. Just up and down arrows on your keyboard, that's how you play, and you can download it at a linked thing in the description. That's it. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe, especially since, well, I just hit the biggest milestone I have in a while, 100 of them. So why don't you make it 101, or 102, or 103, or 1,000 if you're watching this in the far future, or 100,000 if you're watching this in the even farther future. But my point is, if you enjoy the content, you can hit that funny red button to see much more of it in the future. And I definitely appreciate the support, because if 100,000 of you guys hit that, I get something shipped to my house. It's pretty much just a big silver chunk of silver. I don't know how to explain it, but people like trophies, and I'm no exception. So, there's also other reasons, like, I just want to entertain you guys, and a bunch of support would help. Because if I get to 10 times as far as I have in the future, I can start making money off of this, and if I make money off of this, I can use that money to make these videos even better in the future. My point is, just hit that button, okay? Just hit that button and I'll stop bugging you about it later. I'm lying, I'd never stop bugging you about it. Anyways, that is it for this video. Goodbye, and enjoy the rest of your day.